So, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Avanti and I'm part of the Mumbai membership engagement team at NASSCOM. I, along with my team, welcome you all for this webinar. We're very excited to bring together some of the brightest minds in the industry to share how businesses can move beyond traditional automation and embrace the future-ready intelligent ecosystems. So without further ado, let's dive right into the conversation and hear from our distinguished leaders. So today we have with us three eminent speakers. We have Kingshuk Chatterjee. He's the Vice President and Global Business Head of Godrej Infotech. We are also joined by Nitin Jain. He's the President and CEO of Wellspun Transformation Services. And our moderator for the day is going to be Bhavin Gandhi. He's the Managing Director of Infotech Global. So thank you all for joining me today. And before I hand it over to Bhavin, I'd like to go over certain important points. So as an attendee, you will be on mute throughout the course of the event. At any time during the webinar, you'll have the opportunity to submit your questions in the Q&A session for our today's speakers. That's the link is at the bottom of the control panel. And our speakers will address as many queries as possible during the course of this, towards the end of the webinar. Right? So request you all to be as descriptive as possible when asking your questions. So thank you all so much for joining again, and let's begin. So Bhavin, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Avanti, and thank you, NASSCOM. So good afternoon, everyone. Warm welcome to today's webinar on Beyond Automation, Building Business Models for Smart Manufacturing. I'm Bhavin Gandhi from Infotech Global, and I'll be your moderator for this exciting session. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. Like you know, over the last decade, manufacturing has been transformed by automation, but today we are moving into a new era where digital technologies, smart ecosystems, and sustainable practices are reshaping how businesses create value. The question is no longer just how do we automate, but how do we build resilient, intelligent, and future-ready manufacturing models. To help us explore this journey, we have two eminent leaders within a webinar. So both of our leaders bring unique perspectives, and we would like to hear from them on this topic as well, right? So let's start with Kingshuk. From your vantage point, Kingshuk, in the tech industry, how do you see manufacturing evolve in the last few years, and what's driving this shift beyond traditional automation?
Yeah, at the onset, I would like to really thank NASSCOM for inviting me for this session, and compliments to Bhavin for moderating this session, and Nitin, who we could connect back after long. So thank you so much, Nitin, for giving me the honor of being a co-panelist with you. Coming to the subject, as we all know, traditionally, manufacturing industry has been more focused towards engineering excellence and design innovation. That's been the cornerstone. But adoption of technology has been quite slow in this segment through the years. And the more of traditional kind of company, unlike a fintech or a healthcare kind of company, which has adopted technology very fast. But as we say, necessity is the mother of invention. I also say mother of adoption. So in some form or shape, the pandemic actually became a game changer, because that's where the manufacturing industry, which is traditionally being on-prem kind for any activity, got the constraint of being working remote and things like that. And that's where adoption of technology became more relevant and important. And in fact, not only manufacturing, being retail, supply chain, all these segments started getting that need of adopting technology to make their business ongoing and running. And that was the focus, because primarily for any industry for that matter, top line growth or increasing profitability, improving cash flow, these are the basic ingredients for any business to kind of perform. But for getting these three things, there are two major levers. One is reducing cost, which is one imperative for improving your things, and then being faster to the market. And the cost reduction in some way comes through operational efficiencies. And the fast moving to the market is kind of enabling the kind of top line to be improved, because the more you are closer to the customer, to the market, the more turnarounds that you can bring to the industry, to the market in that perspective, you earn better turnover and profitability. So in the last 5-6 years, we have seen technology driven beyond the core automation itself. So there's something called mass customization, which is now prominent in the industry, and that enables you to kind of very progressively and at a speed you can modify and change the designs to base the requirements of your customer. And that has actually helped in kind of improving your productivity and being faster to the market and improving those basic ingredients of top line profitability and cash flow. And that's where the digital technology adoption in the industry segment has really seen a major shift in the last few years. Gen AI, as we all know, has been a big disruptor. But that's being said, things like IoT or machine learning, augmented reality, and all these things are actually computer vision. These are certain things which are getting more and more adopted in the industry. So beyond the traditional way of automation, I think there are many more means and modules which are being now deployed in the manufacturing segment, which has changed the entire the game, if I say so, from that perspective.
Thank you, Kingshuk. That was an interesting perspective. Nitin, if I may ask you the same question, considering you have seen manufacturing from close quarters. So your 2 cents, please.
Sure. So first of all, thank you, NESCOM, for giving me this opportunity. And Bhavin, thank you for moderating these sessions. And yes, Kingshuk, we are meeting after 9 years because we both implemented the ERP-LN in one of the big entities, and we did this together.
Right.
So first of all, I think I'm first of all honored to represent the Wellspun GCC which is the technology backbone of the Wellspun Group. Wellspun Group, which is the conglomerate of 17 different businesses, and we are growing very fast with the CAGR of between 15% to 20%. Bhavin, here at Wellspun, we actually believe that the future of the manufacturing rests in 2 T's. And these 2 T's are technology and the talent. Which is the mantra of our chairman also, Mr. V.K. Goenka. He has always stood by that technology gives us the edge and the talent gives us the wing. And we define actually how we reimagine the manufacturing for the future. So manufacturing has moved from doing the things faster to doing the things in a smarter way. In the last few years, we have, I think, that has shown us that it's not enough to do just the automation. And we must actually build the new business models around connected technologies. And actually, this shift is happening because of the 3 major forces, which means the technology, of course, the IoT, GenAI, the AI, and the data platform. So many things nowadays are available into the market. The second is the necessity. There's a cost pressure from the business side. Everyone needs things on an instant basis. So many compliances. At the same time, when the customer is buying, they are not looking only the price as a parameter. They are also looking at sustainability. So this kind of necessity is also driving this move. And the third is the customer demand. Customer today is they have personalized or customized actually their demand. And if we are not doing this smart manufacturing, then probably we will not be able to achieve this. So in short, automation saves the cost, but this smart manufacturing creates the values.
Thank you, Nitin. That was great. Kingshuk, back to you. So, I mean, we broached a bit about business models, right? So the idea of building business models has not been confined to just automating processes as of today, right? Do you think it has become a central theme now for the smart manufacturing conversation when you talk to your customers? If you could throw some light on how new revenue streams or innovative business models are evolving with this theme.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Nitin also touched about this subject. So smart manufacturing is actually now become the guiding principle and kind of identifying opportunities in terms of customizing the solutions and bringing the new revenue stream is something which is, again, imperative for any business to really adopt. As Avanti introduced myself, I represent Godrej Infotech, and I come from a background which is purely manufacturing, and I represent the global organization called Godrej and Voice, which is, of course, christened as Godrej Enterprise Group, which is into manufacturing, discrete manufacturing, and project-based kind of industry. Now, this is something which is very close to my heart as well, if I say so. And I've seen it evolve in the last 40 years of my career of how things have changed in the industry. Now, I just take an example of how business streams are kind of evolving from this kind of a change. We have in Godrej and Boyce a division which manufactures forklifts. In some way, what Nitin mentioned about the company that he presented earlier was also in some way similar kind of a business. But we manufacture these forklifts for different industrial purposes. Now, we also set up the entire warehouse, this entire the lifting devices and everything else. Now, again, this, as I said, necessity came from the situation that was evolved during the pandemic time. Now, we have been selling these devices to the customers across pan India. Now, they are using different purpose, at times remote sites as well. Now, time, mobility was definitely a challenge. People could not travel across states. Maybe at the most within their local, but remote operation or travels were restricted. Now, not only we are supplying those devices, but we need to maintain them. We have to do the servicing for them, and that became a big challenge at that point in time. Now, what came out of that situation is how can we actively kind of predict the maintenance requirement, the change of spares and things like that, and how can critical service requests can be addressed on a fast track. Right. Now, we enable these forklift devices with IoT enablement.
Capabilities, yeah.
So when these devices were on site, we were able to measure and capture all these information about their usability, their maintenance requirement, the spare replacements, and that was centrally in the hub and was monitored to all the machines that were distributed all across the country. Now, that was the first step, but what happens when there is a service request where the service engineer needs to go on site and deliver the services and change the spares and do the maintenance? Now, what we did at that point in time, and that became actually something very effective, is using the augmented reality devices or tools. The people who are service engineers on the ground, who were not the experts specifically, they were the ones who could do the things. The experts were sitting at the hub in Mumbai, but by using the augmented reality tools, these service engineers could really demonstrate the parts or the specific areas, the HoloLens kind of a thing, where the hub was able to run through the entire scenario, and they could recommend on what could be the best option for delivering those service requests and maintenance parts. And that was very effective in terms of ensuring quick turnaround of the solution. And what happened in fact is that we went into a completely rental service model. And what has evolved in that process is, as we call it, forklift as a service. So more than supplying or selling those forklifts, it's more become a kind of a wet lease kind of a model where we can lease these devices across different companies who are looking for, and that is a revenue stream. It's by usage that we charge the customers for the equipments that are being deployed, and the maintenance activities can be proactively done because obviously runtime becomes a most important element in this whole process. So proactively ensuring that the machine's maintenance is being done, spares are replaced and things like that. By using the IoT devices, we are able to get those information and proactively do things. So starting from the concept of smart manufacturing as a model, it has kind of evolved in helping us building up a complete business model from that point. And there are enough and more examples which has actually been there. And that's a real strong thing which has evolved in the industry through the last few years.
That's interesting. I mean, that's an interesting take of how necessity, like you mentioned earlier as well, necessity is the mother of invention. This has been quite apparent in your conversation now in terms of new business models. So that's really great. Nitin, just to focus on your industry as well, Wellspun, as we all know, has been a leader in the digital transformation journey, especially in traditional industries. If we talk about steel pipes, textiles, etc. So if we could elaborate, how does smart manufacturing translate into value for legacy sectors like these?
So, unlike Kingshuk, my entire experience or my entire career was into the finance and accounts. And at Wellspun GCC, when we started our journey, it was the BPS model where we were serving on the finance, HR, procurement services. And this year, 6 months back, we opened a separate vertical within the Wellspun GCC, and which we call as a smart factory vertical. And the idea was that this smart factory vertical is actually dedicated to reimagining the manufacturing. And actually, this is not the pilot experiment, it's actually delivering the results. So maybe I'll share maybe a few examples what we did in the Wellspun GCC for our group company, because today 100% customer is the Wellspun group only. Our GenAI solutions is actually improve the machine efficiency and the workers' productivity, which is actually unlocking the significant EBITDA gains in just 1 year. At the same time, like we picked the examples of this pipe, steel, and the other verticals, which is the textile one. Our AI model actually using the data which is generated by the IoT machines or maybe the SCADA. And here we are focusing that how we can reduce the wastage, because it's like a converting the cost leakage into the profit opportunities. Even we reimagined the entire HR for the manufacturing, and we developed our own HRMS tool, which we called as a WellPro HRMS. And today we are doing the entire blue collar recruitment, which is with the Aadhaar authentications, without any documents. We are doing close to maybe 4,000 hiring on a monthly basis through that tool. And also in our recruitment processes, we have now our GenAI recruitment bot, which we call as a well hire, which is conducting the end-to-end faceless interviews in the multiple languages. And we have already taken close to 25,000 interviews and close to maybe 75,000 CVs we have passed through this tool, which is a very successful tool within the Wellspun group. And very soon we are extending this to the blue collar hiring also. So in short, these are not the tools. Actually, these are the new business models. Models where actually the AI, IoT, and the analytics becomes the profit centers, not as a cost centers.
Interesting. That's really interesting. Kingshuk, if I may come back to you. I mean, as you all know, Godrej being a leader in the manufacturing space, and Godrej Infotech also works with a lot of manufacturing enterprises. As someone who has seen the best of both worlds, I mean, from your experience, where do you see manufacturers struggling today when moving from traditional automation to a connected smart ecosystem?
Yeah, this is a very interesting question, because the intent is very high, but obviously you need to really cross the bridge to make sure that you are there on the other side of the game. But two things which I have seen or observed as a challenge for the industry is, one, the machineries which are being there are legacy machineries. So they're a bit outdated from that point of view. That's one. The second part, which is more important, I would say not more, equally important and critical, is change management. Now, these are the two major building blocks, and that's where the industry has to really work towards that. Now, when I say outdated machines, they must be working in their perspective of delivering the outputs. But for them to be compatible with the modern digital platforms, it needs to integrate with that. So there is a need for upgrading these machines. Now, the challenge there remains is the complexity of doing that and the costs associated to it. So that's something which has to be really worked through, so as to ensure that your adoption of technology is not limited to the top floor. It has to go to the shop floor itself, and that's where it has to be real effective and give the real outcome when you kind of drive it to the shop floor level. The second part of the change management is the people, the workmen, they have to be enabled. The blue collar have to be really enabled, because they are the ones who are using the biggest user of these technologies.
Absolutely.
So a lot of training is what is required to ensure that they are brought to speed and ensuring that their adaptability is high. That's something which is definitely required to be looked into. A couple of things which are also important is the concern of data. Now, is there all across in different forms, in different shape, unstructured, semi-structured, some structured. Now, how do you bring that together? Because if you need the real-time data for analysis and the solutions to take some decision based on those analysis, the data has to be cleansed and data has to be more structured in that sense. So that's a real-time activity which is required to be done to bring things in order. And lastly, everything is transitioning to cloud. And that's something which is extremely important to adopt. Not that on-prem is not there, but then things are moving towards cloud for various reasons, from the perspective of the investment that you are doing in technology as well. But there is still some skepticism in terms of adoption of cloud, especially in the manufacturing segment, where issues of the threats, the hacking, the kind of cybersecurity, data, where will my data be? That kind of inhibitions are still prominent there in the industry. That needs to be worked towards to ensure that that's cleaned up. And then the last point in that is, how do we define the cloud architecture? That's going to be important because that's going to take things from a long-term perspective. Now, that's where the technology company and the customer or the enterprise has to really come together. And there will be a technology team within the enterprise, and the partner has to really go into a partnership to find out how these few things are addressed. Of course, the partner may not be able to really make a change as far as machinery is concerned, but the recommendations and suggestions of how it can be compatible, how it can be interfaced with the applications and the tools, that kind of a direction is to be there. And the overall architecture has to be built so as to ensure both the data security is maintained and ensured, and as well as the efficiency of using those tools are being achieved. The people are oriented towards that. People are adaptable to the use of those tools and technologies. And that's where the industry is going to really make a big impact in terms of improving their operational efficiencies, improving their profitability, increasing their productivity, and going faster to the market. So it's all kind of a one in a box kind of a situation.
True. That's absolutely true. Nitin, just to add to this, right? So, I mean, if we talk about scalability, security, and you broached a bit about workforce readiness as well, where you have built your own tool internally. So, how difficult or challenging was it to implement these solutions from your perspective? And if I can add to that, if someone is building or starting this journey from scratch today, what sort of checklist they should have, if any?
Mm-hmm. So I think Kingshuk covered many points, and in my notebook, I made so many points, Kingshuk, and especially this top floor to the shop floor. I think we can use this in many places. Also, I think the Kingshuk covered this the adoption piece, because many times it happens that we generally buy the horse, but we still believe on our food. So that is something which is very important challenge, and this change management. So rightly said by the Kingshuk, but yes, so challenges exist whenever we are doing this kind of transformations. The challenges comes. The challenges comes in terms of the scaling, the digital solutions across the plants, which is not actually the easy journey. Which includes the cyber security, as you rightly mentioned, that how we can ensure the good cyber security. And I think the most important thing is that what I covered, I think in the beginning, that we need to focus on the two T's, which is the technologies as well as the talent. So this is the second part, that how we can reskill our workforce, and which is not the easy task. Which needs lots of trainings, which needs lots of maybe the incentives, which needs lots of the change management, the sponsorship from the top management, and so on. But when we started this journey, of course, along with Wellspun and along with the Wellspun group companies, by the way, despite that we are captive, we never consider ourselves as a part of the Wellspun. We consider that the Wellspun group companies should treat us like the third-party service provider, and we should also treat them as a third-party customer. There should be the strong governance and so on, and then only we will be able to give the good products to the Wellspun Group companies. So that is the first mantra. The second is whenever we are creating any such products or whenever we are providing any such solutions, it's very important that we are co-creating the same. It should not be the case that the technology partner or the technical people are developing the products and then they are giving to the shop floor people that they should develop. We should do the Gamba. We should be on the shop floor. The technology partner should be on the shop floor. We should understand the pain of the floor, and then we should co-create that solution. The moment we will co-create this kind of solutions, then the adoptions will be much more easier. The second important point is that the people resist changes. That is the human behavior. So we have to actually accept that. Some people think that if the technology will come, then what will happen on their jobs? And that is the reason. And these people, and we are expecting from these people that they should adopt that technology. It needs lots of retraining. It needs lots of interventions from the department side. So here in Wellspun, whatever we are doing, we are co-creating the solution. So as I told that today, Wellspun is the Indian conglomerate having 17 different businesses, which includes textile, pipe, steel, infra. Whatever we are creating these solutions, we are co-creating with them so that we can get the better solutions, which can be adopted at the shop floor. So it should not be, as Kingshuk mentions, that whatever we are making, it should not be kept only in the PPT on the top floor. It should be used actually on the shop floor.
That's nice. That's really nice. I'm sure a lot of tech service providers are part of this webinar as well, who work with manufacturers for digital transformation journey, right? So if both of you could throw some light on how they can build collaborative partnerships to strengthen supply chains and improve resilience, maybe we can start with Kingshuk and then to Nitin.
Yeah, I think Nitin touched about this co-creation thing, which is basically a collaboration, and that's a must, because finally these are if I say so, in the nascent stages of its really building up, and that's where a lot of interest and involvement is absolutely required. Nitin mentioned about the sponsorship from the top. That's extremely important, and that's where things will actually kind of get adopted. So it is like bringing the knowledge and the experience both together, and then identifying a use case where you can really find a business benefit out of it. There are situations where you build a proof of concept to really test out the solution and see how things are going to give you the benefits, kind of deploy on a pilot basis, see the outcomes, need to tweak certain things. That's where there is a lot of patience which is also required, because you may not get the outcomes immediate, quick and fast. This is something which is a kind of making a building block for the future. You have to put some patience into it. I can narrate a story, a recent one, which we have done for a US customer for ours. They have been in a manufacturing setup, and they had again a huge set of information and data, and they had a basically call center which was supposed to kind of identify the solutions and the past solutions which has been given. It was quite in a messy situation because the information was absolutely in different locations in individual's machine, and which is very predominant. It's there in individual machine. You don't have it in a common place. So accessibility is also an issue at many a times. Now, they wanted to kind of get rid of that situation and create a robust platform and solution where the call center team can have access to information, and they can on a fly in a way kind of service the customers who are calling them. So now they came with that kind of a proposition saying, how can we build a solution which can really address this problem for us? So we kind of did a deep dive research, understood what kind of business needs would be there, what could be the basic outcome that they would look for, and then what are those technologies that we can possibly bring to the table and create a proof of concept. So what we did is we actually used the GenAI based chatbots, and they had a global product data kind of a platform, which, as I said, was in different forms and shapes, which had the service manuals and the past ticket, the help desk tickets which were there. How do they retrieve those information? for similar kind of a solution which they might have given, rather than reinventing the wheel, they can possibly refer to those past solutions and quickly revert back to the customer. So that global product data was brought into picture. We used actually the Azure OpenAI services and the LLM capabilities of that. We created an Azure structured query language database, and then we use that global data, the product data platform, and we also used Azure. So we used Azure, exploited Azure as a technology base across multiple things, and we brought that as a PDF format, which can be now accessed by the Azure AI search, which is there. So it has been indexed and the retrieval process has been done. And lastly, we used Facebook's AI similarity search. So the lot of technology, it's not that one for all kind of a solution is there. We have to really kind of find out multiple, and while coming up to this kind of architecture, we had to spend a lot of time and involvement in terms of exploring the various options, which can really bring the solution to the stage where the customer can really leverage out of it. So we did that proof of concept, and then we did a small pilot to see how the outcomes come. Now that has been kind of tested well, and the customer is quite excited about it. Now the program of rolling out across the company, across geographies and locations, that's being kind of programmed. So the point here is that in this process, we almost kind of worked together for 3-4 months in terms of bringing this whole solution in place, architecting it and identifying multiple options and solutions, and going back to the business and find out what is that they are looking for, whether that meets their requirement. So a lot of collaboration was required in that process. And that finally, by virtue of the involvement from the management of the customer, who was pretty excited and interested in this kind of a deployment, we could really be successful. So collaboration, sponsorship, involvement, and of course, investment. That's all together comes as part of the whole picture or program. But that's something extremely important for adoptability.
So,
yeah, Nitin, if you can add your 2 cents.
yeah. So I think I can confirm what Kingshuk is saying, because Kingshuk and I worked together. Kingshuk was our service provider, and we were the customer at that time. And what he's saying is absolutely right. He's having a very good team, and what they developed, we developed this together. I think they shared the POC, we got the success, and then the trust, created on our business partner. And I agree that no single company can win the race alone. Actually, it's like the future belongs to the ecosystem. The future is not for the enterprise. When the technology providers and the manufacturers actually they works together, they actually don't create the supply chain. They actually create the value chain.
Yes.
And in short, at Wellspun GCC, we are actually treating our partner not as a vendor. We are just treating that if we are the innovator, then they are the co-innovators. And this is how the resilience, the scalability are built in the era of the smart manufacturing, Bhavin.
Great. This has been really insightful. I mean, from hearing from both of you. So, I mean, let's talk about the future. So, I mean, how does the future of smart manufacturing business models look like? I mean, considering maybe 10 years, 5 years from now?
Can I answer first?
Yes.
Nitin, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So if you will see the journey, Bhavin, internet came on 15th of August, 1995. And we saw the journey of internet, what they got maybe the 30 years. This GenAI, it came in November 2022. And we saw that within 3 years, I think the adoption rate is more than 90%. If we will do the small poll in this webinar itself, that how many people use the ChatGPT since mornings, then probably the 100% people will say that today they use the ChatGPT, something like that. So 10 years is according to me, is a very big period to predict, because the way the things are moving, the way this GenAI is disrupting the lots of traditional thought, 10 years is a very long period. But what I can see that India is becoming actually the global hub for the manufacturing. And there is reason. It's a scientific reason that, of course, first of all, it's like a technology push, which means we have lots of solutions, whether it's IoT, AI, GenAI, analytics, the data platforms, and so on. At the same time, there's a business pull also. What is happening in US today? It's like a tariff war is going on, and then it's again disrupting lots of businesses. But at the same time, it is giving lots of different opportunities to explore the other areas, other markets, and so on. So of course, the cost pressure is there, and that is the reason the business pull is there. Uh, the compliance is there, the sustainability requirement is there. So I think because of this technology push and the business plan, and maybe the last thing is the talent scale, because what we can see that the world's youngest, the most dynamic workforce, actually this is available in India.
India, absolutely.
That is the reason I see that the India's I see that it's like India's movements to lead, not to follow. And at Wellspun GCC, actually, we are committed to these missions that our smart factory vertical actually is not just for us. It's like a model for how the Indian manufacturing can leapfrog the globally.
Nice. Yeah, Kingshuk.
I think I'll kind of extend what Nitin said. And if you really see, and I was reading some articles in the recent times, what tariff has actually done in a way is actually pushed a lot of things to India, which eventually would have possibly come, but it has fast-tracked things. Nitin is part of a GCC. I think GCC is one of the biggest game changer which is happening in the country, right? Every company is practically 80% of the companies, global companies, are trying to come to India to set up their GCC. So that's a huge shift in terms of technology adoption. The resource pool that we have is itself a big asset for us, and that's a educated mass of technology adopters. And the Gen Z, as we see, they are more prone to technology adoption. So things are definitely going to be bright. Secondly, as I read, India is kind of pitched to do manufacturing as 25% of their GDP by 2035,
yes,
which is like a whopping $3 trillion of contribution that manufacturing segment will do, which is massive kind of a shift. Now, there are a lot of things. The country is also changing in that context, right? The compliance, the regulatory requirement, the need of being more cost efficient, apart from the factors of global, like carbon reduction, the making energy efficient, the eco-friendly manufacturing. These are all somewhere tied up to making smart manufacturing, adoption of digital technology, a bigger imperative for us. So in that context, the areas which are getting adopted from the transition point of view of new technologies is becoming more stronger and imminent. And I'm very bullish about the idea that India is definitely going to be a very, very strong force in this whole journey. India is anyway kind of pitching to be the third largest economy. I think in the days to come, and if you're talking about 10 years window, it is definitely going to be better possibly. We all have concerns about how US is going to stand in this whole game. But from the perspective of India's adoption of technology, leveraging the workforce and the technology understanding, bringing and India is also a very massive manufacturing hub, if I say so, across different segments. And that's where the kind of playground is there for these exploitation of technology and imbibing those technology into the mainstream. And that's going to be becoming a big, strong thing, both from the perspective of adoption of technology, as well as the outcomes of sustainability, compliance, the carbon emission perspective. Those are all something driven through this entire program, which is ongoing. So I'm very, very confident that things will be really making wonders in the next, if I say 5 years to a 10 years time frame. It's really going to be a huge shift and change in that context.
Absolutely. I think India finally is at the right place at the right time, just that we need to focus on our talent development. And I mean, definitely that is something that India should be a global leader in this space in the coming future. I think that is there. So Avanti, I mean, do we have any questions from the audience?
Yes, we do. So thank you, panelists, for answering, all the panel discussions here. Just let me pick up a few questions. So one of the questions is, how can digital twins, IoT and AI specifically help in reshaping the business models? I think we covered a little bit during the discussion, but if any of you would like to add on to this, how IoT, AI and digital twins help in reshaping business models beyond operational cost.
Kingshuk.
Yeah, if you ask me, I actually gave an example of that same thing where IoT was kind of enabled in the devices that we equipments that we supply, and how it created a new business stream. There are enough and more use cases actually. It's a question of exploring those use cases. In every sphere of the manufacturing operations, there can be new business streams which can be adopted. A couple of cases that I said, one is of course the whole area of how help desk was kind of moved. And that's again a business stream, because finally you, from a cost center perspective, it becomes a profit center perspective. So you kind of, it's a paradigm shift from that point of view. So it's a question of how do we engage and how do we understand those relevant scenarios, challenges and use cases, and how can we convert that into a business model.
Great, thanks. Nitin, did you want to add anything to the answer? Or?
So yeah, so as I think mentioned in my I think in some of the answers that here the data is the fuel. It's like a data insights and the actionables. We call it as a DIA model, where I think lots of machines are generating lots of data. I think the problem before this GenAI was that I think people were analyzing that, but today we are getting the insights maybe in just a minute, which was probably not possible earlier. In a way, of course, the people were doing that, but today I think the insights as well as the actionable, which is also recommended by the same product if we have created that through this GenAI. And that is creating lots of value for the business. And as I told, I think it's not a cost center anymore, whether it's IoT, the data insights, the analytical platforms, these have become the profit center. And business is actually gaining, which is the actual demand for this competitive environment.
Great, thank you. The next question is, how can Indian MSMEs, which form the backbone of Indian manufacturing, adopt Industry 4.0 technologies cost effectively? Maybe Nitin, if you can start, and then we'll have Kingshuk add to.
So my idea, first of all, will be that it's not necessary that we should build everything by our own. There are already available use cases. There are companies who have worked on these use cases. They have developed some really good, beautiful products. So the idea is that my suggestions to the MSME will be that, first of all, identify the problem statement. Identify, because the moment if you will go into the market without the problem statement, this journey is so glory that maybe you will find maybe 20, 25, 50 use cases, and then probably you will get confused that which one is suitable for me or not. I think the first part, introspect, needs to be done, that what is my problem statement for the business? Instead of creating the solutions by your own, identify the good business partner who has already worked on that, who has already provided the solution, and then maybe take that. And the important point is that many a times it happens that we buy the product, but probably the adoption is the challenge. The focus on the adoptions also, if you are buying something. So first of all, convince yourself, find the good business partner, take it, and the focus should be on the adoption side. And if you will do these, maybe the 4 things, then I'm sure it's going to be benefits for the MSME.
Great. Thanks, Nitin. Kingshuk, would you like to add?
Yeah, I think I absolutely agree with what Nitin said. It's rather than reinventing the wheel, adopt what is available. Now, in that situation, rightly Nitin said, adoption and ensuring that you are using the solution is extremely important. Otherwise, it's like buying something and keeping in the rack. Doesn't make sense. The other point also, which is important, that while you are identifying, you have identified a problem statement, identifying a use case, and engaging a partner who has experience in that area. Do not try to actually influence your ideas into that. What I mean by that is many a times what happens is that we at the level of discussion, we say that we want to adopt change, but actually we do not want to change, and we want to see what we were doing earlier. So we want the solution to be customized to the way I was doing it earlier, which does not really help you in achieving or gaining the results which you would possibly be expecting. So try to find out what is available, which is standard at that point in time. I first adopt that and then see whether there are further enhancements which are required to gain better benefits, rather than trying to go into a discussion mode and say, I want to see it like this. Because there are some best practices which has been already adopted into it. Try and leverage that. That will be more cost effective as well and easy to adopt.
Great, great. Thanks, Kingshuk. Bhavin, one question probably can come to you, which is when you're working with manufacturers, since you've also worked with a lot of them along with Nitin and Kingshuk, what are the most common mistakes they make when they're trying to scale automation into intelligent manufacturing, if you've from your experience?
Yeah, so basically, like Nitin also mentioned earlier, adopting a particular use case, right? So they need to understand what exactly the use case is there for their own benefit, right? In terms of scaling up the entire value chain. So that is something that is a common mistake that happens. Typically, the manufacturers themselves, they don't know how you can probably scale this to a level where the automation can convert from a traditional automation to a smart connected kind of a ecosystem that we need to drive on. So that is something that we have in our experience encountered.
Great. One more question was, what are India-specific challenges that exist in terms of data security, legacy systems, fragmented supply chains when integrating advanced analytics?
I think there are too many things, multiple areas in one question. But yes, the concern I even mentioned earlier, the manufacturing industry definitely has a concern about data security and cyber security and all those kind of things. See, like any technology, even cloud has evolved immensely in the last few years. So the robustness in terms of the protocols, the security availability, that is to a great extent being addressed there. And then there are multiple additional models also which are available to be deployed to ensure the security layers that you can adopt. So the concern of data security should be actually erased from the mind, because that becomes a big impediment in terms of your moving towards the cloud situation. The other thing is, as we discussed even earlier, how do we adopt these things or these technologies from the business case point of view? That's going to be more important. So if you have identified those use cases, the problem statement, then you have different options and solutions to actually address those challenges. It's a matter of detailing, if I say so. There's no one shortcut, one medicine actually for that problem. The problem has to be actually understood well, and then the right solution are kind of prescribed from that point of view.
Cool, great. Nitin, did you want to add anything? India-specific challenge that you might have seen?
So I think we already, covered in our conversations that first of all, it's like a mindset. The biggest challenge what I see is the mindset, because there are so many traditional industries, and when we are trying to transform maybe the manufacturing into the smart manufacturing, I think the biggest challenge and the problem is coming on the mindset. As Kingshuk mentions, people are saying that they want to change, but these people are the one who are maybe somewhere resisting that change when they are looking the new data, the new reports. Then they are saying, no, we need the old one, something like that. So the change management mindset, and yes, I think the some part is on the cyber security data also, because today I've seen the people that they are using the Chat GPT, and they are uploading the confidential information of their company on this Chat GPT and asking the questions without thinking that probably that data is used somewhere else, and then it may go maybe somewhere outside too. So somewhere I think the training part, it's also needs to be strengthened at the corporate level, so that we can understand on this data security and the other piece.
Right, right. Thank you. Bhavin, did you want to add anything? Any India specific challenges that you saw?
I think more, yeah, like one is the skilling, I mean, upskilling, as well as, I mean, the kind of rapid changes that have been coming along in the technology space, right? It becomes very difficult for existing employees as well to reskill themselves in time. I mean, by the time they learn new technologies, already something new has come up again. So that is a challenge that I'm facing. I mean, of course, many of the tech service providers also face the same problem in terms of reskilling their employees every now and then. So that is again how you move along with the technology pace of technology. That is something that is a challenge, not just in India, it's everywhere. So
Yeah.
yes.
One more question was, since smart manufacturing promises agility, are there any examples you would share where agility led to measurable competitive edge? Maybe somebody adopted first, then the other, from your experiences.
Recall, I would not have a direct recall for that matter, but this is one more point that I wanted to possibly add to the perspective of MSME that you mentioned or questioned at that point. See, we cannot wait for the best to happen, because best is yet to come and we don't know when. Every day is a best day. If we can't adopt it now and say that when I will adopt when the best thing comes, I think we will possibly be far behind. So our agility from that point of view is important, of how fast we want to adopt. Things have matured to a good extent. Let us first adopt those solutions, because that will bring us to speed. And then we have to be open to also kind of find out where next, how can we evolve further. But trying to wait for that, and that's where I see a lot of concerns that the decision-making process is extremely slow, because we are still not very sure of what is that I want and whether I get it in the current solution or should I wait for the version 2. But this version 2, by the time you think it is the speed at which things are evolving in the technology space, it's very difficult to catch up. So if you wait, you will be lost. And if you adopt, the best thing is that you will be few steps ahead. And then you have always an opportunity to actually kind of scale up. And there's no rush in that sense, because you have to adopt, you have to ensure that you are leveraging whatever your investment made, and then you take next steps. So the agility part is on the adoption and decision making. I think that's going to be the key.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Nitin, you want to add?
No, I think absolutely right, because many a times, we, of course, the better planning is needed whenever we are taking any big decisions. But many a times with the thought of that we need the 100% on the day one, the people don't even adopt that 70-80% what they are getting on the day one. I think that's very important part, that if we are doing any initiative or the transformation such as this smart manufacturing, of course we need to identify the right use case for our business. But if we have decided something, then there should be the team who should focus always that how to implement this and how to adopt that. So the mistake what generally the organizations make, that we are just waiting for the best time, but the best time never comes. So today is the best time. Adopt that. Otherwise, there is no best time.
Right, right. Thanks. Bhavin, did you want to add? Otherwise, this one.
Yeah, I mean, like both of them have mentioned, right? So the journey towards smart manufacturing is not a one-time project. I mean, it's basically a continuous process of innovation, integration, cultural transformation as well. So just would want to advise all the MSMEs to start small, take these insights and build momentum within their own organizations.
Great, great. One more question is there. GenAI has extensively been used for code generations. How is AI being used in manufacturing industry to improve the productivity of mechanical engineers? This is a very specific question, I guess. Anybody?
Very, very specific use case.
Yeah.
We think through to find out how to do it. But I'm sure, because it's being extensively used. So I would be very surprised if something like this is not there. But maybe we can think through and come back, which can be shared to the whoever has questioned it. But I can't recall immediately out of the blue scenario. Maybe Nitin or Bhavin, if you have something in thoughts.
No, so that I think the opportunities are many. And when we are talking about the GenAI, even we can't think that how this GenAI solutions will behave maybe in the future. And so today, as I told that within Wellspun, we are using 4 to 5 different use cases. We are using the data of the SCADA. And by using the data of the SCADA plus GenAI, we are providing the output to our blue collar workers, to the operators, that how they need to run the machine. In my infra business, we call as a TBM machine. Again, by just looking the soil, and we are using this GenAI data, we are just giving the instructions to the machine operator that how they should run the machine, the TBM machine. So there are so many, I think, the solutions, and I'm sure if we will find the solutions must be there in this mechanical engineering too, but I don't have any answer as of now, but yes, that must be there.
Sure, thanks. Yeah. Bhavin, you wanted to add anything?
Yeah, I think it's a very specific use case, which I
Yeah.
think the gentleman would be better to answer.
All right. So I think we'll just have one, I mean, we'll take only one last question, which is basically what is the biggest barrier, looking ahead, what's the single most disruptive change we foresee in the manufacturing business model over the coming few years? I think this has also been answered, but maybe once more.
Yeah, so I think the GenAI is the single disruptive things what will happen in the next 2 to 3 years. And I think as I told that one is the GenAI, the second is the people covered this, the people part also, that how the people will unlearn and learn the new things. That's also the very important part. If we have these two combinations where the technology is driving the machinery and the talent is driving the dreams. If we have these two combinations, then I'm sure that even if it's a disruptive future, but I think the future is good.
Good, great. Anyone want to add anything?
Yeah, I think robotics is another thing which is actually very, very strongly being used in the manufacturing segment. Drones, robotics, these are certain things which are actually enabling a lot of business enhancements as well. And a human interface is being kind of eliminated to a good extent, and programmed robots are handling things. Drones are being used on the supply chain perspective. So these are disruptions which are going to definitely be more prominent. There is a concern of people from that point of view that I'll lose my job. But I think the direction is very different. Use of these technologies or new innovations are actually to ease certain repetitive activities so that people can get focused into areas where there are more innovations required, more human mind is required. The repetitive tasks really do not need human mind. So that's where these kind of tools and technologies are going to really replace human, and humans are actually going to move towards areas where it is more knowledge specific, knowledge productive kind of a space. So these are going to be people disruptions. And way back, I can recall situation where Indian Railway started bringing the computers for ticketing. And that was a time there was a huge issue in the entire railway employee system, and people went on protests and things like that. And they were very inhibited of adopting computers at that point in time, saying, I at this age cannot adopt computers. But in the next 2 years, 3 years time, I saw everybody is using it. Even the ones who are on the verge of retirement, they were using effectively. So it's a kind of a mindset which happens. It's more of a knee-jerk kind of a reaction which happens. But eventually, if we are open-minded and we know how to adopt technology with open arms, I think it's more of a collaboration as well, technology and human, rather than thinking technology is a disruptor in terms of impacting me as an individual. So that's going to be the way forward for us.
Yeah, thanks, Kingshuk.
As
Please,
rightly
Bhavin.
mentioned by Kingshuk, that actually the future belongs to those who dare to blend technology with talent.
Absolutely. Thanks, Nitin. And there's one more question that has come, sorry. Why do so many pilot projects in Industry 4.0 succeed, but scaling across plants often fails? And how can we change that? So pilot projects are successful, but when we're trying to scale it across plants, we don't see that much success rate. So how can that be changed?
So
That's the
the
question.
complexity of the scale has to be definitely considered. The pilot and the overall scale will not have all the parameters same. So if it is kind of deployed as is where is, there is high possibility of failure because the scalability, the complexity, the people involvement are much more. When we talk scale, we are talking scales, right? So multiple things are going to be enhanced in multifolds. That complexity has to be considered while it is being deployed on a scale. The best way is to take a pilot, do a phased manner of rollout so that you are able to, there could be some tweaking required, there could be some enhancement required while you move on. So rather than a big bang kind of an approach, it should be more of a phased manner so that you can define the areas where you can deploy those solutions in a larger scale better than what you did in pilot. And that could ease out the challenge of failures as we move forward.
Great, thank you. I think those were all the questions we had. Thank you. It was a very interesting discussion. Thank you for all the panelists for joining us today and to all the speakers and audiences who were here today. I'm sure it was very informative and insightful session. So please do help us with the feedback post this webinar. And if you have any more queries that were not answered or any queries you wish to ask more, please drop a mail at mumevents@nascom.in. And we will soon get back in touch with you. So closing this webinar by thanking all our panelists to join in. Thank you all for a very insightful discussion.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Avanti and NASCOM. And thanks, Bhavin and Nitin. It was wonderful talking with you. We look forward to such more sessions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah.